Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a video on the latest team race event. Now this event is very special and it's different from previous team race events. First of all, because we're getting an old monster, what used to be a premier monster. In fact, this event is called the Premier Monster Island. But the special thing about this event is if you look at the middle at Igursus, he has 5 stars. That's right, you can get a rank 5 Igursus. Let's take a look at all of the rewards. Rank 5 Igursus for 36 laps. So you're definitely going to have to put in some work to get those 36 laps. And if you only get 14 laps, this used to be what would get you a rank 3 monster. Now it's going to be a rank 4 monster, level 120 monster. And to get a rank 3, you only need to do 10 laps. You need to do 8 laps for a rank 2 monster, and then 1 lap for a rank 1 monster. So they definitely increase the reward like significantly. Because take a look at second place, you get a rank 2 Harusami, a level 110 Harusami. And like, even if you don't get the first place, right? Even if you don't put in that much effort, if you just hit those 4 laps and there's not a lot of competition, you're gonna walk away with a rank 2 Harusami and 50 Elementium and 3 million food. And that's not even counting the individual rewards. That's so insane to me. And then for third place, you get a Raw Zool at rank 1. So whether you're first, second, or third, you're gonna walk away pretty nicely. And even if you don't do anything, as long as you get your 4 laps to qualify, 4th through 6th place you get a Test a day, 7th through 10th you get Singularis, and then everyone else gets an Apex. Again, like, if you just take this whole week just to relax, these next 6 days, you get a free legendary monster and some Elementium. Like, it's kind of hard to complain, right? At least that's the way I see it. You know, Social Point doesn't have to do any of these events, and they do them, so then it's up to the player to decide whether or not they want to partake in the events. Well, in this case, it's more of a team effort. The team needs to decide whether or not they want to partake in the events. And, oh my goodness, I'm just blown away by how incredible all of the rewards are. 50 Elementium and a rank 2 Harusami for second place. It really looks like they're trying to close the gap between free to play and pay to win, because now they're basically giving a lot of players a rank 4 or a rank 5 Igursus, which I think is beyond incredible. So I went ahead and did some math, and just hear me out. For one player, just one individual player, to get a rank 5 monster, you need to get 18 copies of that monster. You need that one monster to rank up all the way, and then you need 17 copies, and then you need 17 copies of the monster to level up all the way to 100, and then to extract. And that takes a lot. First of all, to rank up a monster to level 100, that's 2.2 million food. So you gotta do that to 17 of them. That's what, over 34 million food? So you need over 34 million food, and then you need a lot of time, because it probably takes like 1 to 2 days to extract. So it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. But in this event, if your team happens to get first place with 36 laps, you get a rank 5 Igursus. Now once again, going back to what I was saying, for just one individual player in your team to get a level 130 monster, you need 18 copies of the monster, and that would cost you 249 gems when the monster is on sale. Now premier monsters, when they first get released, they cost you 299 gems, so it's actually a lot more. But because everyone knows to only buy a monster when they cost like 249 gems, I'm doing the math with those numbers. So 18 times 249, it takes one player 4,482 gems to get a monster from level 1 to 130. That is a lot of gems, and that's just for one teammate. In this event, if your team happens to get first place with 36 laps, that's the equivalent to your team spending a collective 134,460 gems. That is incredible, the fact that that's the amount of gems needed for every single player on the team to have a level 130 monster. And you basically are just getting that monster if you happen to get 36 laps, which is definitely still going to cost you a nice amount of gems, you know, skipping all of those nodes that involve breeding epic monsters. But your whole team collectively is not going to be spending anywhere near to 100,000 gems. Probably not even 50,000, not even 10,000, I imagine. You know, every skip epic node costs like 140 gems or so. So yeah, collectively, no way you're going to be spending that much. But the reward is so darn immense, and we haven't even taken into consideration that you also get a Harusami, which I imagine is also going to be rank 2, just like the second place prize. So let's say you don't get a Igursus, but you get the second place reward, the Harusami. Well, in order to get a rank 2 monster, you need 4 copies of the monster, 3 monsters to extract, and that original copy. So 4 monsters times 249 gems, that'll cost one player 996 gems to get one rank 2 monster. But again, if your whole team gets second place, and there's not that much effort required to get second place most of the time, then that is also an incredible reward. So if it takes one player 996 gems to get a rank 2 monster, it would take 30 players 29,880 gems to get a rank 2 monster. So once again, you do not need to spend anywhere near 30k gems collectively to get Harusami. You know, you just get second place, which is why I'm blown away by how incredible the rewards are. And you can definitely tell this is an effort to reduce that gap. You know, they're throwing out a lot of ranked up monsters at newer players, at some maybe mid-level players, some long-term players that aren't huge spenders. you're getting a chance to compete. Now obviously you'll never be able to fully compete because these monsters are nowhere in the league of the newer monsters. The newer monsters just have incredible skills. They're getting new traits. They're super phenomenal. But we are getting old monsters that are ranked up, and then, you know, we'll never be able to compete fully because of the runes. You know, elite players have high level runes, and that's fine. You know, they paid for it, they earned them. That's good for them. But I think it's really great that the free-to-play community, the newer players, the players in that mid-term level, everyone's getting a chance to get these ranked up strong monsters. And I mean, oh my gosh, you get Igursus, you get 70 Elementium, you get a Harusami, and then as for individual rewards, you can get up to 5 million food, more Igursus cells, you get some relics, and you get relics, you get 2 bronze relics up until 10th place, and then everyone else just gets Apex cells. So yeah, I just gotta say, I'm blown away by how incredible this event is. It definitely caught everyone off guard. Maybe that was an attempt to not allow teams to make race teams, because that's honestly the best way to tackle this event. Like, what people have to understand about the races, race events is that they are inherently unfair. You know, just by random odds. Like, if you happen to be a top 100 team, is it really fair for you to go up against the top 10 team? Not really. You know, those are like the elite spenders. They're gonna probably outspend you and they're gonna get the top reward, even if they don't really need it, just so it can go on their race log that they haven't lost a single race. You know, that's not really fair. Just like by pure luck that maybe a new team gets paired up with lots of newer teams that aren't going to compete, and maybe you're a new team too, but you got paired up with some tougher team. So I just want to get that point across. The team races, they've always been inherently unfair, so making race teams is kind of a way to combat that. And one thing you'll notice when you get into a race team is that normally you'll be put into a pool with a bunch of empty teams where no one was even going to win the reward anyways. So one of the common counter arguments to making a race team is that you're stealing the reward from other players. A lot of times that's really not the case. A lot of times, if you've been in a race team, you'll notice that the other 19 teams, they didn't even get a single lap because they're just not qualified enough to make a single lap. You know, you gotta breed legendaries, you gotta extract the legendary, you gotta breed epics. There's all these different things that a lot of newer teams that have like level 20 players, level 16 players, they just can't do it. So you're not really taking the reward from anyone, you're just taking a reward that is there for the taking without having to do like 100 laps, 50 laps, or some insane number of laps. And that's just my personal opinion on race teams. I can get a lot more into it. I can do a whole video about it. I think there's a right way and a wrong way to make a race team. And a lot of teams abuse the wrong way to make the race team, which involves like every single player in that team making a new team, getting some randoms to join their team, and then kicking them all out. I don't think that's the best way to do it. The proper way, and again, you could always argue whether it's right or wrong, is to keep your original core team, your 30-member team, and just split them up to 2 teams of 15, and then just have 2 race teams, as opposed to what I said the first time, where you can have like 30 race teams filled with random players that you just kick. Because that's the one thing I do think is completely unfair, when you get random players to join your team and then you just kick them off just so your original team can reap the benefits. That's, come on, like, put yourself in those players' shoes. Sure, they're level 16, level 20, level 25, they're new players, they're starting off the game, and then they're joining a team, and they're so excited, they're doing their first war, they find out about this new team race event, and then all of a sudden they get kicked. And okay, you know, it sucks, they join another team and they get kicked again. You know, oh my gosh, just imagine, like, I think long term you're discouraging newer players from sticking to Monster Legends, from playing on the game, because they had a bad experience with Team Wars. But you know what, I think I'll just stop there, because like I said, I can make an entire video about what's fair, what's not fair, and specifically about the team race. But for now, I'll just leave it at that. I just wanted to talk about this Igursus Premier Monster Island event, and I'm kind of wondering if from now on they're going to do team races with all the Premier monsters, and maybe they're going to release the new monsters with that new Boss Titan event. That could be a thing. So can you imagine like getting a rank 5 Cloud, a rank 5 Patreon, all of the old Premier monsters? That would be so insane. That would be so insane. Actually, now that I think of it, Harusami, he was a Premier monster. Razul, yeah, all of these were Premier monsters. So maybe that's not the case. But just imagine if it is. What if they start doing team races with old monsters, and then they just save the new monsters for the new event they have going on that they had people test for? I don't know, there's so much going on right now. But yeah, these are my thoughts on this event. Also, if you're wondering how to advance, how to quickly progress throughout these races, I do have a tips and trick video. It's based on the Cryoton Ice Titan race, so I'm going to have a link to that video in the description below, and in the comment section, and at the end of this video. So just make sure to watch that video. I know it's a different monster and everything, but basically if you know the tips and tricks for one event, you pretty much know the tips and tricks for all events of the similar nature. Like if you know one progressive island, you know every progressive island. If you know one maze, you know all mazes. So it's the exact same thing with the team race. so be sure to watch that video if you're hoping for tips and tricks. With that being said, I'm Armor Gaming. Best of luck to all of you on the Premier Monster Island event. May you all get that rank 4 Igursus, that rank 5 Igursus, and I'll see you guys next time.